So this is my general rough translation and analysis of Aeneid, Book 2, lines 453 through 468. All right. So there was an entrance and hidden doors. Kaikai, fores. Kaikai is usually blind, but here it's got to mean hidden. And a way that was used, a way of the buildings that was used among themselves. In other words, a passage in between the buildings of Priam. And doors that are like left behind from the back. Here, relicti, we should probably take that as mean like left to the people of the family of Priam. In other words, these doors that the palace family knows about. By which, or where, unfortunate Andromache, while the kingdoms were still standing, in other words, while Troy was still standing, very often used to bring, presumably herself, unaccompanied to her in-laws. And she used to bring Astyanax, the boy, to his grandpa. I head up, I approach, I make my way towards the roofs of the highest peak, from where the Teucrians, the Trojans, were hurling useless weapons in Rita Telva by hand, from where the poor Trojans, the miserable, wretched Trojans, were hurling useless weapons by hand. All right, and then the rest of this, 460 through about 465, is quite all over the place in terms of word order in English to make it make sense. So towards the tower, standing on the precipice, standing on the edge, and led up a dukedom under the stars from the highest roofs, from where all of Troy and the usual ships of the Greeks and the Achaean camps, Achaeans and Danaans, just another word for Greeks, Wideri, I'm going to take it as like posod Wideri, like could be seen. Adgressi. This is a word that means like approach, but here it can also mean like approach to attack. So we having attacked around with iron, you could take that to mean like iron tools or implements, possibly even with sword. Where the Summa Tabulata, the highest floors, Dabant, were giving sloping joints, wavering joints. In other words, a place where like it was weakest, where they'd most be able to pry in their weapons. And we ripped down Turum, the tower, from its high seats, right? And we, in Polymos, and we push it down, presumably onto the Greeks. Ea Lapsa, that building or that tower, fallen suddenly, drags ruin with its sound, and it incident, it falls onto the Agmena, it widely falls onto Late incident, the battle lines of the Greeks, widely falls over the battle lines of the Greeks. But other Greeks come up. Meanwhile, neither rocks nor any other kind of weapon, nec olim genus telorum, kesat, ceases, stops. In other words, they continue to throw them. Okay, so let's go back over this. So relicti a tergo, enjambment. I didn't want to do that, sorry. Solebat et soceros, enjambment. Unde tela manu, not enjambment, right? Because it goes all the way to the next. The clause doesn't end shortly there. All right, so looking over that section, a little bit more closely, let's see what do we got. Seems a little redundant to say that she was bearing herself towards her in-laws and then was bringing, could have been used a little less. It's not pleonasm though, because it's not the same meaning. What else we got? I suppose you can make an argument for hyperbaton with turum being so far away from the verb that takes it as its object, convelimus. Stantum sumis que sub. We've got alliteration there. Tricolon from where all of Troy, the usual Greek ships, the Greek camp. So it's going to be a tricolon, can be seen. Panuelimus altis sedibus and jam it again. All right. So, yeah, things not looking good for the Trojans. They're ripping up their own palace to try to fend off the Greeks. Things are only going to get worse. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop there for now. Wale.